Exactly 8 years ago, right about now, I started a job interview to potentially become the next rabbi of B'nai Aviv. But job interviews for rabbis are a little bit different. I wasn't dropped off here by myself. I was here having just finished a red-eye flight from the West Coast with my wife, who was 6 months pregnant, and my daughter, who was 20 months old at the time. And we arrived in this space, tired, a little cranky, and me quite nervous because I didn't know what to expect. This would be my first job interview to become potentially the senior rabbi at a congregation. And it started by walking through this door into the proverbial unknown. And we were guided immediately to the left, to the ballroom. And you could hear the rustling and the noises as we were marched directly to this space where the entire ECEC was waiting for us. All these little voices cheering and singing a song for us in welcome. And immediately the teachers came and they introduced themselves and they asked us questions about Naomi, who again was 20 months old at the time. And then they took her away to participate in the day's activities and to show her a little bit what it might be like to be a student here at the school. They answered our questions not as potential applicants for a job, but as potential parents who would one day entrust the school with their children. And we felt immediately so loved and welcomed. And that type of overture didn't end with the ECEC. It extended to all the different segments of our congregation. And I can remember leaving B'nai Aviv after the weekend and turning to Angie and saying to her, this felt nothing like a job interview. It felt more like whether or not this would one day become a place that we could call home, a spiritual home for our future. And since that time, we've had 2 more children, and we expect to be here for many more years into the future. And one of the great accomplishments that we've been able to achieve as a community is right down this room. A few years after arriving at B'nai Aviv, we were able to raise enough money to rebuild aspects of the sanctuary, to put a beautiful ark to house our Torahs, and to also commemorate the Shoah with this beautiful testimony to the 6 million victims of the Shoah. We have 2 Holocaust Torahs that you can see hanging over my shoulder, and I was charged with the task of figuring out where I wanted these Torahs to be opened to. And I had many conversations with people, including Angie, as to where we wanted the Torahs to be open, what passages we wanted them to reflect. And the first, up over my right shoulder, is quite obvious. That's the 10 Commandments, the moment of revelation at Mount Sinai, the moment where the Jewish people were not only introduced to God, but also to the eternal mission of what it means to be an Am Kadosh, a holy nation. The second Torah, however, was a little bit more complicated. What would we open it to? And then I realized that this mission of building a Jewish community did not fall upon me alone. It doesn't fall upon the clergy alone. It doesn't fall upon the board alone. Building a spiritual home is a mission that belongs to us all. And so I opened up the Torah to Parshat Truma, where we have a famous line that is, on the one hand, grammatically incorrect, but theologically perfect. It says, Asuli Mikdash. Build for me, God charges. Build for me a Mikdash, a holy sanctuary. Asuli Mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. And I will dwell, not b'tocho, not in the sanctuary, but b'tocham. I will dwell amongst those who build. And it's a conditional statement. When we want to affirm our place in the story of the Jewish people, when we want to affirm our place in a Jewish community, we have to actively be builders. We have to actively contribute. And we do this in many ways. But by virtue of taking initiative to be a part of the Jewish community, we simultaneously bring God down into our holy and sacred space. And so I chose to open the Torah to that particular line. And as we engage in this process to burn the mortgage, so that this physical space becomes literally ours, I want everybody to know that this is not something that the cantor and I take possession of alone. It's not something that belongs to the board. B'nai Aviv is something that belongs to each of us equally, so long as we take the initiative to affirm our place in that story, to be builders. And so I'll ask you, as we approach the beautiful gala coming this Saturday evening, to take part in the story, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, whether it's with volunteerism. Take initiative and help us continue to build a home, not just for us, but for all future generations, so that B'nai Aviv can continue to nurture the Jewish identities of those that not only live today, but those that will be coming tomorrow. See you all Saturday evening.